There are plenty of people who feel shame about their finances, who feel like they are not in a financial place to work with an advisor, and plenty of other reasons where people just don't engage. They think it's going to be expensive. And I decided I can do better. I can do it differently. I can do better, and I can actually help people.
Welcome to Elevate with Yoana. And in today's show, I will be speaking with a financial advisor. She has gone through divorce. She has reinvented herself over and over again. She lost all of her friends when she went through the divorce. She was in a really bad mental space and managed to pull herself up, ask for help, and become the woman that she is today. I'd love for you to listen to her story. I'd love for you to pay attention to the smaller things that matter to women when it comes to financial independence. It is a beautiful story, and I'm very happy to bring it here today for you, for all of the women and men that are listening in today's episode. Enjoy. Financial empowerment. Most of you ladies, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're divorced, do not check your checking accounts, have absolutely no money, no clue how much money there is in your savings account. And unfortunately, if your husbands pass away or if you get divorced, things can get really interesting. Nicole?
Interesting is a good word. I would say painful. It can be painful.
It can be painful. And with that in mind, abracadabra, chiribu chiriba, Nicole Guernsey on my show, ladies and gents, because I just looked at the stats and there's a lot of gents looking at my YouTube, and I guess they are empowered by our conversations. I have Nicole here for all of you that want to know about finances, about money, about how to put some money aside for those days when you're going to need them, because we all age. And if you have children, what happens when you have children? How do you make sure you can afford the medical bills and all of that really juicy and non-sexy? It's not for me. Might be sexy for Nicole. She might be waking up in the morning and going, I love these numbers. I don't do that. You guys, just flat out vulnerable here with you guys. I do not think about that, but I do check my accounts. I know exactly where we are with our expenses because I'm running several businesses. And if I didn't, I would be extremely anxious. So welcome to the show, Nicole. Who are you?
Thank you for having me, Yoana. I'm very excited to be here. And thank you for highlighting all of that, because it is really important. I am Nicole Guernsey. I am a fully licensed fiduciary financial advisor here in Cary, North Carolina, with clients across the U.S. My story is a little different than your average financial advisor. I like to say, first of all, that I'm not your father's financial advisor, right? I actually had some, we'll call it interesting experiences with financial advisors myself in my former career and life. And I found that I didn't enjoy the approach. I didn't enjoy the types of people. I felt a little judged. I felt like, there was just, it just wasn't right for me. And when I sort of stumbled into this career, I decided I wanted to be a different kind of financial advisor. I wanted to be someone that I would want to work with, that my former peers in the tech industry would want to work with. And I want to be approachable. And I really want to focus on the education side. That being said, I am a career changer. And so the cool thing about what I do now is it's actually just translating all the stuff I used to do. So I was born and raised in California. I went to grad school actually in Oregon, and then I had a job moving to North Carolina. And so I moved 3,000 miles away from everyone I knew, loved, cared about, and started over 10 years ago here. And then got recruited into the tech industry. I was in marketing. So for the last about 12 years, I had a marketing career, and I worked primarily in software companies, startups, and I loved it. And I still think that my former career is amazing. But with all of the layoffs that have been happening and the instability in the industry, I really felt like, I was part of a layoff first. I can admit that, which is really hard. And it really takes the foundation out from under you, or like takes the breath out of your lungs, right? When you get laid off, all of that security, all of that normalcy is taken away. And you really have to kind of discover, what are you going to do next? And so I found that taking a look at my life, I had moved to North Carolina, created a successful career for myself, had a marriage, and then had gotten divorced, had to start over already. Right before I got laid off, I had finalized my divorce. I had sold my old house. I had moved into my new house. And also, really, that actually causes you to refresh your friend group as well, your support network. You really learn who is there for you in, holistically and as a real friend when you go through something traumatic like that. So I was already starting over. And when the layoff happened, it really caused me to push pause and think, what can I do differently? It's time for a change. But it was also really scary, right? When you work in corporate, you have a salary, you have benefits, you have this, it feels like you have a leg to stand on. But what I realized through the layoff was actually that they don't care about, business is running a business. They don't really care about the individual. And at any time, that leg can be ripped out from under you, right? So I wanted to control my own destiny. I wanted to have, new me, single, I bought my own house. It's the first time I was living alone. I just decided I want to be in control of my own destiny. And in that process, I learned a lot. I actually learned that finances are so much more complicated than you think they are. And when you go through a divorce, there's so much to consider. And there are resources out there that your lawyers don't know about, like a certified divorce financial advisor or a certified divorce mortgage lender that can actually help in the negotiation process.
And a realtor too, which is a CIPS, which I've been having this designation for many years.
Exactly. It's amazing how much, we trust those people, like a lawyer, an attorney in the divorce process. We trust them to know, and they don't necessarily know what's available to you. And they just are, blinders on, let's get through this process.
That is very interesting. I want to know more about that, but maybe in a different conversation. So that was your divorce experience with a dedicated attorney and a dedicated financial advisor?
No, so I didn't have that at the time. So that was kind of the motivation. That was one motivation, was I wish I'd had someone like me in that process, because there was just so much I didn't know. And the attorney didn't tell me that, okay, well, when you are going to refinance your house and how you're going to split things, that there was someone available to me, like a certified divorce mortgage lender, who could have helped me do it differently. And I remember thinking, they just, traditional lending, that's what they pointed me to. This is what you're going to have to do. And I didn't know there was any other way. And as I've been coming into this industry for the past year and learning all of the resources and how much bigger the landscape is than we really comprehend, I realized that I am not the exception to the rule, right? This is the common situation. You don't know what's out there. You go through an experience that's challenging, and everybody's just running on default settings, right? That's what's happening. And that is the most common scenario for most people. I really found that it shouldn't be like that. Motivated me to want to drive my practice, my personal practice, focusing on, I can serve anyone, but focusing on women, because oftentimes, like you said, the women don't take an active role in their finances. They outlive their partners. We live longer than men, so we also have to save more. And whether it's divorce or loss, a woman will eventually have to go through this process. And having experienced it through divorce, I can tell you that it's painful, it's messy, it's scary, it's isolating. And then, I finally was able to I felt like I got a good handle on things, right? After the divorce, and then boom, layoff. And I was, sitting there wondering what I'm going to do next, reevaluating me and what I care about, right? I didn't want to work in a corporate environment anymore where I didn't feel like I was actually getting to help people, right? I helped build strategies for someone to sell something. That's not helping people except to drive business and then to pay employees, right? Wanted a more active role in helping people. So I stumbled upon the career financial advisor and originally thought, this isn't going to work for me because you can't see them now because I have this lovely blouse on, but I have visible tattoos. I have a nose ring. I am never going to wear a pantsuit. I will cuss in front of a client. I believe in being my whole genuine self and 100% of the time. And I thought at first that's not going to work. And then it hit me like a cold splash across the face. That's exactly why it will work, because there aren't people like me out there. And there are plenty of people who feel shame about their finances, who feel like they are not in a financial place to work with an advisor, who feel like they don't want to work with a male advisor, and plenty of other reasons where people just don't engage. They think it's going to be expensive. And I decided I can do better. I can do it differently. I can do better, and I can actually help people. And so far, that has been true. I will say starting over is so scary. And a lot of people have commended me for my bravery, right? And I put that in air quotes because to me, I didn't feel brave at all. I felt like terrified, and I wanted to quit more than once. And I cried in front of my boss, and it was uncomfortable. It was super uncomfortable. And today it still is, but it's worth it. Like all of the anguish and the scary, if you can fight, if you can battle through the uncomfortable and find your why and chase your dream, you will eventually get to a point where you're like, I have my own destiny in my own hands. And that is an incredible feeling.
If you don't mind sharing, because I want all of them, right? This is not only inspirational, right? My goal with this show and with my coaching is not just to say, whoa, you can change. It is so easy. It's not easy to change, but there are steps that are real life steps that you need to take. And in order to take those real life pragmatic steps, like Nicole said, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know that a lender that is specialized in divorce actually exists, or a CIPS like myself, because I'm also, again, running a real estate company. When you open your eyes and you ask and you learn, or you have the right people that are surrounding you, the universe is definitely going to deliver for you to take those pragmatic steps towards making the money, making the career change. And even if you fuck up, excuse my language.
Yeah, love it.
Great. So what if you fuck up? You know what I mean? We all fuck up at some point in life, and it is just normal. I'm raising my child saying, what bad happened today in school? Like, I heard this one day from someone, and I was like, this is genius. That person, that parent never said, what amazing things you have achieved today. He asked when the kids came home, what did you fuck up today? What did you struggle with? What was your biggest aha moment in school that you felt like you learned from? And that is something that builds up on us, right? Not, okay, well, we're succeeding. Great. But to get to the success, you need to go through the layers of hey, I'm learning, I'm experimenting, I'm fucking up, I'm struggling, and then I'm thriving, right? It's all of these necessary steps. So for you, um, you had a little bit of experience and you had maybe a little bit of money, but that journey of entrepreneurship from corporate America, from having a defined salary and benefits, like you said, to being on your own, what were the biggest struggles, I guess, in the process that anyone can learn from?
Yeah, well, I definitely want to talk about first just the removal of the foundation, feeling like your feet have been wiped out from under you and you don't know what to do when you're laid off or you have a major life change like a divorce, or even, I will note, and this is totally something I learned in my new career, is even in retirement. So when you are laid off, there's a lot of feelings of failure, obviously fear, but we can get really down on ourselves feeling like, why me? I did something wrong. I wasn't good enough. And that's not necessarily true. Also, and I've noticed this, I think it is true for men, but especially women, we tie our identity and our success so closely to our success in the workplace because we've kind of come from behind and felt like, well, I need to prove myself. And when I was laid off and starting to investigate, okay, I don't think I want to go back to my old, the same role, but at a different company, it was super hard to even consider that because my identity was tied so deeply to who I was professionally and my professional success that I had to almost like rip that away and focus on I can be worthy, I can be valuable, I am still I can still have interests and hobbies and things that make me that have nothing to do with my identity at work, that have nothing to do with my professional career. And I had to actually do active, like you were saying, there's things you have to do. I had to really take a minute. And this is before I even found the potential of financial advising as a career. This was just the work I did when I was considering changing my career, when I was considering walking away. I was extremely depressed. I was frustrated. I was getting down on myself and I didn't know who I was. And I started to do some exercises, and one of them was gratitude. So I would, and this, through therapy, we've gotten some tools, and coaching, obviously, you are an amazing resource for someone in this exact situation. But even if you're not, it's never, you don't have to wait until chaos happens in order to try to fix it, right? You can get prepared and build tools. One of them that I've built for when I deal with depression is gratitude. And so I would write down 3 to 5 things every day that I am grateful for. And they were things like, I talked to my mom today, or I walked the dogs today and it was beautiful outside. They could be as simple as that, or it could be, I'm grateful that I have done enough for myself to save that I'm not going to lose my house in the next few months because I'm unemployed, right? So it was recognizing all the things that I'm grateful for. And it wasn't just things around my life, but it was also my successes, right? Grateful that I have been capable, that I have put in the work, and that I have struggled. I was grateful for the struggle because I learned and was able to grow from it. And so gratitude practice was a huge tool.
Why do you think that people find it more difficult to do this exercise of just spending 2 minutes or 1 minute of writing down 5 things that they're grateful for? Why do you think that they find it more difficult, or maybe woo and really just kind of something that doesn't, what is this? Why? Why do you think that happens? I need to know from your perspective. And also, I really, really, really want to know, how many friends did you lose in the process?
Oh, good.
And I think that that is something that people are very scared about. What's gonna happen if these girls are not gonna be in my life anymore? All of a sudden, just hanging out with the same people. I mean, come on. So you spending this time on gratitude touches on a very important thing for all of you. Guys, you underestimate the power of gratitude, which is the mother of all attributes out there. It is so important. If you cannot be grateful for the walking the dog, for calling mom, and for seeing the trees out there, do you think you're going to be grateful for another job or for more money or for another purse or for whatever other material BS is going to show up in your life? No, gratitude comes from inside. So Nicole is a genuine example of a very easy exercise that we do in our practice, but you can do by yourself with a pen and paper. And look at this. Look at this. It's crazy you're mentioning this. Do you see what's written there? Like exercise. It says here. Okay. It says, take a moment to list out the things you have that money can't buy. This wealth list can be a daily reminder of the riches of life, fostering gratitude and attracting more abundance.
We didn't plan this. We did not.
I was going to do this exercise with you.
Oh my gosh.
And tell you about it.
Well, what I can tell you, you asked a good question, which was, why do you think people don't do it? And I can tell you exactly how I felt when I started. When my therapist was like, do this, I was like, okay, like, ugh. And you know what? It feels woo-woo because it feels like, especially at first, and especially if you're not in a good mental place, it feels like you're making shit up. Like, it just feels like you're, it's like when you tell your therapist
it's not reality, but the reality is I don't have the money in the bank. The reality is that I just got laid off and I feel like shit and I don't have friends. Blah, blah, blah. This is the reality. So can you help me change that reality? Well,
exactly. Yes. And so it feels like you're just saying, okay, well, I guess I'm grateful because I don't know, the trees look pretty today. And it feels like you're just spouting bullshit. That's what it feels like. Or writing down, here's the thing though, the forced habit and like just the activity, even a few minutes, what it actually does is, if you do it a couple times in a row, you start to get past you start to critical think like about what you might be grateful for. And you start to think about things like, I'm grateful that I have a support system. I'm grateful that I have this person in my life because of this little thing they did today. They sent me a text today that just changed my attitude. I'm grateful that someone sent me some stupid meme on Instagram because it made me laugh today, right? And even those little things, when you spend time actively thinking about them, it starts to make you critical think about it makes you feel less like you're inadequate. Makes you feel like less that you're not enough and you haven't done enough and you're a failure, and more that you have possibility and you have good things in your life. And once you start, I hate to use the word manifestation because that sounds woo-woo, but it's true. Like once you start believing that you have good, you start focusing on the good, and the better attitude you have, the better you feel and the better you act and the better you treat people. And the more good things will come to you because you are actively pulling that towards you. And you're going to act differently in social situations. You're going to perform differently in an interview. It makes a huge difference. And it does feel in the beginning like you're just doing something ridiculous. Doesn't feel like it's working. And I totally understand that. I totally get that. I literally just told a friend of mine who's having a hard time with his wife, and they've been struggling for years and they won't go to counseling, and he wants to, she does, whatever. But I was like, he's like, the resentment has built up so high. And I said, try focusing on gratitude of what does she do that you appreciate? How does she treat the kids? Is there something that she does every day with the girl, the girls, every day with the girls that really makes you, that you love, right? Is there something that she does for you that you love? And focusing on those little things, it can really change your perspective on something. And it's for lack of a better word, it is healing.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't believe when I started my coaching, initially, me being me, I never thought about manifestation as anything woo. I always understood that. The reality, Nicole, is that not everyone vibrates at the same level, and every level is a good level. And we all go, in my opinion, in our journey through just different levels, and we have to learn from past lives, future lives, current lives. And when you tell this to a person that's in any field that is extremely pragmatic and cannot really separate what I need to see, they forget why they even go to church. If they think about Jesus, who is Jesus, for example? How did Jesus actually heal? Did he actually heal? Was he burning? Was he living at a higher vibration? How did all these things happen? So there's so much confusion. Even they do these things. A lot of people, in a spirit of what was done before, previous generations by mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and they don't question them. However, when it comes to implementing some things or thinking about them or having a conversation like we're having, it is very hard to break that pattern. It is hard to get a real answer because they have never spent the time to actually take the whatever it is in Romanian, it's like you are breaking the piece of hair into, smaller pieces and just trying to figure out what's actually underneath. So let's dive a little bit, because I know we've taken a different route, but I think it was very, very fundamentally important how you changed, what you did. So friends, how many friends did you lose? And how was that experience? It was heartbreaking, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I would say a majority of the friend group that I had were what you would call couple friends. They were either friends that were brought in by him or by me, but they were friends, they were common friends. And when you go through a divorce, and I don't even think it has to do necessarily with who's the friend more loyal to, I actually think a lot of the loss happens because they don't want to have space for your drama. They don't want to have space for your pain. They don't want to have space for dealing with anything difficult, right? And I think that goes back to what you just said. And I can't even count. I lost almost everyone. So all the people that I used to rely on. And then, so it was that. And then it was, I hermitized, right? Like I went through depression. I became a shut-in. I didn't talk to anybody because I didn't want to burden anyone else with my shit. So I also was at fault losing friends, right? And when I finally came up for air, I realized I don't have anybody who can check on me. I don't have any family in the area. I don't have, I had to call my mom and say, hey, I'm in a bad place mentally. I'm a little concerned about myself and I need you to just call me every day because I don't have people to check in on me. And so what it kind of forced me to do when I was finally when I was finally coming up for air, right? When you've processed a lot of the trauma and you're starting to feel like you can leave the house again, and part of that was the gratitude practice, right? Like getting the ability to try to be a human again. I started to reach back out to people and I started to do intentional time talking to people and making relationships more making relationships deeper and doing my own due diligence. Because when you're going through something, you don't have space for anyone else either, right? So the people that I lost because they didn't have space for me, well, I didn't have space for them. And it's just a natural course, I think, but people feel betrayed or they feel broken or not good enough. And that's not the reality. The reality is this is just a natural course of human relationships. Now, I'm not saying every single friend that I lost is that situation. There were definitely a few that I felt really hurt from, that they couldn't show up for me. And I thought that they would, right? Women who stood by me in my wedding that just completely ghosted me. And that is, that is traumatic. But it forced me to go and find the people that really do care and strengthen those relationships, and also go and find new friends, new people to build my support system. And I don't have a huge social circle. And I do that intentionally because I can't keep up with the quality that I want to have in a close friend. I can't keep up with that many people and still have sanity for myself, right? So I am much more intentional, and I'll say like curated with my relationships, because I want the people who are going to be there when I need a ride home from the hospital, or they need somebody to come walk in their house and check on their dog. Those kinds of relationships are my closest friendships now. And before, I had no idea. I was so busy just surviving my corporate life, dealing with the bullshit at home, and being like superficial level friends with these people that I didn't realize they weren't real friendships.
Tell me, please. So you lost the friends, you regained your life, and then you started digging into a lot of stuff. And I think for all of the women that are watching, and they've been, if you're still here, this is the juicy part. I would love to spend a good 2 to 3 minutes to put to be able to understand what is it that women are not doing that they should be doing financially.
Well, I'm glad you brought it back to the financial conversation for a couple of reasons. One, when you were talking about how people need to take the time and take a breath and maybe do a reset, but you struggle with the pragmatic people who can't really see the possibility of that. There's also, whether it's pragmatic or just, feeling like you have responsibility to other humans, children, spouse, family. It is especially hard if you do not have. I was blessed and lucky that I had done some saving and managed to have a little bit of a runway to give myself some time. Not everybody has that.
And you probably see, to me, it was surprising to find out, being in real estate, how small percentage of people actually have savings.
And yeah, so the number one thing that I tell people to do is save 3 to 6 months expenses in an emergency fund that you don't touch. Like, that's not your like, oh, I want to go on a trip fund. That's your like, I get laid off and need to support myself and my family fund, right? And it's sometimes really hard for people who live paycheck to paycheck or are in debt. And yes, absolutely, you need to pay off the like high percentage credit card debt. That's the worst kind of debt you can have, because it's digging, you're trying to like bail out the water and it's pouring in. So yes, that needs to be dealt with. And you can still set aside like just the smallest amount, and that will build up over time. The most successful people at wealth building have this strategy of set it and forget it, kind of like they have just, whatever it is, it could be 1% of a paycheck or $10 a month that automatically transfers right into an account you don't look at and touch. And then have that account have an interest rate, like high yield savings account, right? Make sure your money is actually earning something, because if you've got thousands of dollars sitting in an account, it might as well be earning a little bit. So that's also a good thing to do. But the minimum is focus on building that safety net, because feeling trapped in a situation, and I have to find a job immediately because I don't have an emergency fund, I don't have savings. And maybe it's very stressful. And then, I'm trying to file for unemployment. Well, by the way, that's a crap ton of work. I know. They make you jump through a lot of hoops to get that money. And so, having to be in the situation where you mentally do have to just jump right back into a job that you might not like and you might not want, but at least you get there. You have to be able to try to see a possibility outside of that, even if you're doing it simultaneously, because, and, use that money that you're now, if you get the next job that you aren't necessarily loving, right? Be strategic with your money so that you can get to a place of independence, get to a place of having space.
So first of all, save some money. Make sure you have at least 3 to 6 months. Put it in an account that is going to get you a little bit of something ultimately. Create that space, right? And then
be present. I think the number one thing that I will say, if I could change, women, but anybody's, but especially women's behavior, because I see it more often than not in women, stop being an ostrich, right? We just put our head in the sand and we don't want to think about it. We don't want to look at it. We don't want to spend time budgeting. We don't want to spend time thinking about our finances. We feel shame. We feel uncomfortable. If you can just face it and do it and stay present with your finances, you will be 1000% more successful and achieve a place where you don't have to be so feel shame about it. And you shouldn't have to feel shame about it, but I know that that's not something that's easy to just decide you're not going to do anymore. But yeah, it's really just be present with your finances.
I did something very crazy the other day, because I do a lot of things that I teach, and I wasn't doing them before, but I also teach detachment, right? So unlearning things and detaching yourself from, let's say, a wedding ring or something that's, I mean, of course, if you're married and you have it, it's not, I'm talking about learning to rewire your brain and unlearn certain things,
yeah.
and look at your bank account and detach yourself emotionally. It's just a number. And what Nicole said about writing down, if you say, I'm so grateful for that $200 that's there in the account, it's amazing. Fostering that gratitude really will create more abundance. You're grateful for the little that you have, and that you're expressing it into the universe. And all the universe hears is, wow, it's so amazing that she's grateful for this. So what you focus on really does expand, whether it's good or it's bad. So to end this, for all of you that are watching, please connect with Nicole. I will put all of her information there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Do you have a favorite quote that we can end this with, or anything, a saying that you really feel connected to?
I do. You're going to laugh at it. And this goes back to this is the woman thing. There's a movie called Practical Magic, Sandra Bullock, Nicole Kidman. And in the movie, the women are talking about, I think I sensed something when my son got sick or whatever. And one of the women in the movie is a witch, and she goes, there's a little witch in all of us. And I actually have that quote tattooed on my arm because it is a special movie to me and my mom, but also because the idea that there were witches and that they were bad isn't real. Those women, they were always women. They were the healers in their community. They listened. They were midwives. They were the best at something. And the reality is, it's not witchcraft. It's the female power to listen and to think creatively and to make space for others that has given this mythical negativity, right? And every woman has a little witch in them because we're all magical. Women have qualities that men just can't emulate. We listen differently, we hear things differently, and I really believe that we deserve so much more than what we give ourselves credit for.
Absolutely. I want to see that tattoo. So that's
It's on my arm, yeah.
definitely a beautiful witch. So thank you for coming on Elevate with Yoana, for giving me your energy and your wisdom and your amazing presence. Thanks again for all of you that are watching. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope that you're being empowered to look in your accounts, to start fresh, to be bold, to be who you are, and to just start a new life if that's what you need to do. There's always room. Call me, call Nicole. Are you? Is that okay?
Yes.
just tell her. I heard about you from Yoana's show, and I want to know more. If you need a financial advisor, I'm sure she would be more than happy to spend 10 minutes with you and give you some practical advice on how to move on or how to start and build a new chapter of your life. Again, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you. And thank you all for being here.
Thank you all.
Bye.